In the lab, one of the most important things that you're going to perform is measuring of volumes or measuring liquids or solutions or even reagents. And it's critical that you get this correct. I know from previous years you have huge expertise with pipettes and burettes and so on, but now we're talking about such small volumes that we really need to use autopipettes. And I know you've seen these and you've probably used them in some circumstances previously, but it's vital that we get the technique correct and that your understanding of selecting the right pipette is always 100%. And it's something that we're going to focus on today looking at this video. So I have 4 pipettes here that I want to show you. Each of these pipettes, probably the most important thing I would say to you to do when you're asked to pipette a volume is to acknowledge the maximum and minimum amounts, which is shown on the top of each pipette. So for example, if I have a particular volume such as 200 microliters that I want to pipette, well then I need to check the minimum and the maximum before I can select the correct pipette. And once I know that information, I'm armed with it and I can select the correct pipette for that. Now sometimes, varying on the brand, you might see it listed on the side or you might see it mainly on the top in the pipettes that we have in the department. So once you've selected the correct device, that's half the battle. You're not going to make a major error in any of your pipetting. Now we have to learn how to use this correctly. In this experiment, the sample experiment, our required volume is 200 microliters, and we've selected the appropriate pipette as we've looked at the minimum and maximum volume capabilities of the pipettes available and selected the correct one. So as you can see here, it's set to 300 microliters, and we're going to go with 200. So I need to adjust the dial by twisting the lid slowly to get to 200 microliters. And now, as you see, the pipette is set to 200. However, it's use that's going to be very important and how you use the pipette. And I know this sounds simple, but it's often a place of error when many people are learning or early in their scientific careers. Now, we will be selecting our pipette tip based on the color code later on, but I really want to show you how this device works at the top. When you push down this particular button on the top, you'll find you meet a resistance, a catch. You have the capability to go beyond this, if you wish, with a full suppression of the button to a second point. But it's so important that you recognize where that first catch is. You see there the button is meeting a resistance and it's stopping. If you pursue and go all the way down to the bottom and lift up, you will put a pipette more than 200 microliters, much more. So it's very important that when you're pipetting later on, we're only going to go to the first catch and then lift up 200 microliters. As I said, the only time we're going to go to the second catch is when we want to maybe expel the liquid into the new tube that you're aliquoting into.
Here we're going to look at how we use an autopipette to transfer liquid from a red beaker to a green beaker. You can see in the top left that we have the pipette button at the top pressed down to its first catch as we've described. We're going to maintain that pressure and then we're going to lower the pipette into the liquid. It's here then that we release the pressure and allow that button to come back to its resting position. And when it does that, it's essentially lifting up that volume of liquid that we've the pipette set to. We can then move it to our green beaker, press that button down to the first catch, down to the second catch, releasing our liquid into that green beaker.
I hope that's given you a really good overview of how to use these autopipettes or Gilsons or a few different names they come by. But I must say this is the most important device that you're going to use within your scientific career if you're measuring small volumes. So just really pay attention that when you are pipetting, it's that first catch that's so vital to recognize. So even if you're in the lab waiting for an experiment, go to the pipettes, try them at different volume settings and practice finding that first catch. It's priceless and it'll really help your career.